Breaking overnight.
Team coverage this morning of a deadly night on the highways and roads in St. Louis.
A double fatality closes a portion of 44 westbound near downtown St. Louis.
And just a few miles from there, another closure with another serious accident. We'll tell you how to work around these problems.
And this morning, we're talking about winds today. They're going to get gusty, but at least temperatures will get well above freezing.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Well, good morning to you. It is Wednesday, January 28th. I'm Nicole Burley.
And I'm Pat McGonigal. Thanks for starting your Wednesday with us. As you saw, a lot to get to this morning, but also a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
We are inching ever closer, Scott Connell, to Super Sunday. So I brought in my Parkway Central helmet. There's a reason, though. It has to do with Ryan Dean's story that we're going to get to and a little bit later.
Okay, very good. All right, this morning we are talking about some clouds to the north of St. Louis. We've seen a couple of high-thin clouds around town, but for the most part, skies have been mostly clear this morning. And so we're off to a pretty good start. Temperatures are in the upper 20s to lower 30s for most of us. In fact, Lambert's gone up a degree this hour, up to 31. Look at Kansas City at 42. There is mild air out here to the west that works back in across the region during the day today. So we expect it to be a bright day, but it is going to be brisk because the wind is really going to be picking up here, heading through the midday hours into this afternoon. Southeast wind 15 to 20 miles per hour. It does get gusty. That takes a little bit off that 52 that we get to later this afternoon. Our actual high, we're thinking, is going to be about 53 degrees. So we'll get into the low 50s, but that breeze offsets that a bit. Fairly bright day ahead, especially when compared with yesterday. We saw a fair amount of clouds across the area yesterday, Nicole.
We do want to start with breaking news and a deadly overnight on our area roadways.
5 people killed in accidents, 2 while walking along a street. So this morning we have team coverage.
The first accident we want to tell you about happened just north of downtown St. Louis.
2 people are dead right now, and part of I-44 is shut down. Dana Dean's right near westbound I-44 before it turns into I-70. So Dana, what happened there?
Well, we're just north of downtown St. Louis. A portion of the highway between Lumiere Place and Cass Avenue is currently closed. Several police and emergency vehicles still on the scene right now, still working on accident reconstruction. But I want to show you that they are about to tow away the car that was involved in this accident. It is believed to be a single car accident. St. Louis police confirmed that 2 people died. This happened around 2:15 this morning. It appears the car veered off the highway, went up a hill, and hit the bridge support. It bounced back on the highway. It burst into flames. Again, it looks like the highway will reopen soon. We don't have an exact time, though. Cars are using Broadway to get around this accident, to get back on the highway. Again, we're in the depressed section of I-44 near downtown St. Louis. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Dana. Now, on Interstate 55, 1 woman was killed after she rear-ended a semi. This accident happened in the northbound lanes near Butler Hill around 11 o'clock last night. Police say the driver of the semi was slowing down and pulling over to deal with an equipment problem. You can see what happened, though. The woman rear-ended the semi. The woman who hit the semi was killed. The driver of that truck was not hurt. Nicole?
Also overnight, a tanker truck hits a car on the McKinley Bridge. All lanes of the bridge were shut down as one person was airlifted from the scene. That person's condition is not known. There will be at least a few more hours before the bridge reopens. And tragic news in Wellston, where 2 people have died after being hit by a vehicle while walking at Keeneland and Evanston. Police on News Channel 5, a man and woman had just left a nearby convenience store around 1 o'clock this morning when they were hit. Right now, no names have been released. We are told the driver stayed on the scene. There's no word if the driver will face any charges. Well, experts do say St. Louis has more than its share of pedestrian traffic deaths.
Last fall, the U.S. Department of Transportation identified St. Louis as a focus city for a new campaign to cut down on all of these pedestrian fatalities. Now, any city that had more than 20 pedestrian fatalities in a year made this list. It was put together by the Federal Highway Administration, or any place that had more than 2 pedestrians killed per 100,000 in that city.
As you can see on this map of focus cities from the federal government, St. Louis is far from alone. More than 24 U.S. cities are working with the feds to make roads safer for pedestrians.
Now, here is a quote from the Federal Highway Administration from last fall about all of this research. Quote, "Our work in St. Louis has less to do with addressing bad laws and more to do with providing technical assistance in order to aggressively reduce pedestrian deaths by focusing extra resources on those cities." And on the local level, we are already seeing work to address those safety concerns. The city streets department did make some changes this week to traffic lights and a crosswalk at McCausland and Plateau after a woman was hit and killed there on Sunday. So it's a very serious issue, Sarah Daly, but if there's any silver lining, it's one that does have the attention of federal and local officials.
Yeah, it's clearly a situation that does need to be addressed. And here is a look at where Dana Dean was just talking about the fatal accident, double fatal, on 44 at Broadway. Now, those are the westbound lanes that are currently closed. A lot of folks that have lived in this area have known that as 70 through the depressed section, but once the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge was built, anything south of that area is now named 44. So again, this is 44 right under the Cass overpass here. Broadway is going to be your best alternate route. If we jump out to our maps and we can take a look at what's going on everywhere else, we are in decent shape. Also the McKinley Bridge, just a few miles down there, a little bit further south, also closed due to an accident there. And once that reopens, we'll definitely pass that along. That will affect quite a few folks this morning coming from Illinois into downtown St. Louis. Nicole?
Well, the FBI arrested one of the suspects accused of terrorizing a Missouri man during what investigators are calling a totally random cross-state kidnapping. Robert Caldwell was captured in Kentucky after a brief police chase yesterday afternoon. The feds say Caldwell and another man kidnapped a 67-year-old Kansas City man last week. They then forced him to withdraw money at several banks across the state. The victim finally escaped in Jennings, but police are still looking for that second suspect.
St. Charles police are now reviewing surveillance video as they investigate a shooting inside a Chuck E. Cheese's restaurant. Witnesses say two men were arguing last night at that restaurant on Veterans Memorial Parkway in St. Charles. That's when one of them opened fire. The victim was shot as many as 3 times before he ran into the parking lot. At last check, he's still in serious condition. The shooter is still at large, but police are hopeful security video will lead to an arrest.
And this is a story you'll only see on News Channel 5. An aggressive plan to protect downtown St. Louis with surveillance cameras that can read your license plate. It's part of an effort to make things safer and attract more visitors and businesses downtown after a rise in crime and violence. The installation will begin this summer at major intersections and bridges. Missy Kelly of Downtown STL Inc. says the cameras will be monitored by the St. Louis Police Department, and the information will only be used to help solve and hopefully prevent crimes.
This helps to give that visible security presence, which does help deter crime.
The idea is already being criticized by the ACLU of Missouri as an invasion of privacy. It released a statement reading, quote, "While on the surface, investing in surveillance cameras might seem like a good way to deter crime, increasing government surveillance without safeguards in place to ensure that privacy is protected will erode civil liberties. The notion that crime will be reduced is speculative, but the risk to the right to privacy is real," end quote.
It is now 5:08, and here's something that might lift your spirits a little bit on a day like this. An East St. Louis teenager has some big dreams for his future, but he didn't think they'd come true, but it's happening. The way complete strangers are paving the way for a talented young artist.
And if you can't decide what to get your Valentine this year, why not buy a prank gift for the unvalentine in your life? How a zoo is cashing in with cockroaches, even scorpions.
That's an interesting story. All right, we are talking this morning about really quiet conditions in St. Louis. It's going to be a pretty windy day today. In fact, those winds are going to be pretty gusty the next couple of days. And yes, there's a storm system on the way for the weekend. We have it all coming your way as we work our way through this 5 o'clock hour today in St. Louis. Looking at Lambert St. Louis International Airport, a little hazy out there right now. We do have some slight visibility restrictions. It's not where you're going to run into thick fog around the area, but we've been checking the visibilities for you this morning. And the one thing we want to note is because there's been some salt that's been put down on the roads over the past few days and some residual salt out there, it tends to attract moisture. And as you look at these temperatures this morning, They're at a point in the upper 20s for most of us, at least mid to upper 20s, where that salt should keep any moisture that's on the roads. As you see the visibility restrictions here, down around 5 miles in Alton, as well as over in Salem, Illinois, and 7 in Chesterfield. That's just a little lower than average, but there could be some moisture on the roads. It should just be damp, though. However, as we always say, especially bridges and overpasses, if it looks like it might be a little damp, it could be a patch of ice, so just use some caution. Temperatures will be back into the mid-40s by noon and low 50s this afternoon. It's a windy afternoon. Southeast winds are going to get really gusty today, Nicole, and some changes on the way heading into the weekend.
Well, a major roadblock in plans to move a Metro East hospital. There's a proposal to move St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Belleville to O'Fallon, but that proposal must be approved by the state. Yesterday, a state board voted 4-1 for the move, but state rules say 5 members must approve. The hospital administration will go back to the state in 7 weeks for another hearing and the final decision. The CEO says they've exhausted all other alternatives.
We really have to assess the alternatives, and we're not going to rebuild, and we're not going to modernize here. The other 2 alternatives were to move to O'Fallon or to exit the market.
That was CEO Marianne Reese. She believes the state will approve that move.
A local Holocaust survivor shared his story yesterday for International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's all part of his mission to stop discrimination and hate in the here and now. 84-year-old Ben Feiner remembers his gut-wrenching days and nights of starvation during World War II. He was separated from his family in 1939. They were hauled off to several different Nazi concentration camps. Feiner says he worked like a slave, making war machines at those camps. He constantly feared he might be shot in the head or tossed into a fire. Feiner hopes by speaking at the Missouri Holocaust Museum and sharing his story, senseless acts of violence will come to an end.
We're all cut from the same mold. And this is, I hope to God, particularly the hatreds would stop because of calling Jews, or what do they call them, blacks or greens or yellow. We're all people, we're all the same.
Now, Feiner didn't speak publicly about his tragic time during the Holocaust for more than 60 years. He says he was focused on taking care of his wife and 7 children. However, he will be speaking to area teachers at the Missouri Holocaust Museum next Thursday, and Ben is a regular speaker at that museum near the JCC off of Lindbergh. So if you ever have an opportunity, he is just a local treasure.
Absolutely.
You should spend some time with. He is something else. All right, it is now 5:15, and of course, we've always heard it takes a village to raise a child, they say.
Yeah, in the case of an aspiring artist at East St. Louis High School, that help and encouragement are coming from all over the community. Art Holiday reports.
I'm going to dream, and I'm always going to dream, and I'm always going to be thinking of what's next.
Aspiring artist Andre Lang has a dream he can't let go of.
I want to own an art gallery in New York. That's a goal. That's not my purpose. That's a goal.
The high school junior seems to understand it's not enough just to have talent.
Along with learning a discipline, you also have to stay motivated to continue with it.
In terms of making the objects look like a real object.
Veteran art teacher Homer Simmons says he's not surprised that Andre Lang's artistic talent is getting recognition.
He's one of those young people to keep your eye on.
The School of the Art Institute of Chicago selected Lang for its early college program this summer.
You have to build a portfolio that they think is highly outstanding for a high school art student who shows promise.
The cost of the Art Institute summer program is $4,000. Andre is raising money with a GoFundMe account, and he just received word of a $1,000 grant from Art on the Square, a Belleville arts organization. Community and school support, newspaper publicity, TV interviews. Andre is having a moment.
I never expected this to happen to me, but I appreciate it. I'm very grateful and humble.
Overwhelming stuff for a 16-year-old, especially when you consider Andre's pretty new at this. He's been painting for less than a year.
The sky's the limit for Andre.
So does this feel like what you're meant to do?
Yes, it definitely does. Like, I'm so happy with it.
Well, the executive director of Art on the Square says she hopes other organizations will match Andre's $1,000 scholarship.
So cool when you see those stories where total strangers don't even know him and they're like,
step up.
You should go to Chicago. You should be on your way. That's very cool.
It is 5:17. 2 American legends are teaming up, and it is turning heads. The newest designs for Converse All-Star sneakers may look familiar, especially if you're a fan of legendary artist Andy Warhol.
Wow, look to get some. Chris Brown forced to delay his tour. He is not quite done with another item on his to-do list. Here's a hint. It's a work mandate that came from a judge. Welcome back. It is now 5:20, and today impatience pays off with two big price drops our consumer team found. Look at this top laptop deal. It's $100 off a fully loaded Toshiba. Comes with free shipping, or a way to buy it today and pick it up today. How about that? And this is the best sound bar deal that we have seen since Black Friday. In fact, 60% off. Buy it today, pick it up today. We'll see the same thing on the TV deals tomorrow. You'll find today's deals, though, and a few more right now on our website, ksdk.com. Sarah Daly getting ready for an explosive new project that sort of landed on her to-do list.
Yes, we are going to help take down the other portion of the Old Canal Bridge next week. So Scott, I'm reading the prompter there. Pat's the one that set that up, and we're going to go out there with cornbread and actually help blow that up. So it'll be pretty exciting, but stay tuned right here to News Channel 5 and Today in St. Louis, and we have a few more details that you need to know about with that as well that's going to a good cause. But traffic-wise, if you're heading out the door here this morning, the McKinley Bridge is closed at this point. Also, Illinois Route 3 in both directions due to an accident at the bridge. So just keep that in mind if you're coming from Illinois into downtown St. Louis. Also 44 at Broadway. This is also known as 70 through the depressed section before the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge was built. That is currently closed due to a fatal accident as well. So as we learn more information on that, we'll be sure to pass it along. But those two spots are still closed and will be closed for some time. So definitely plan on an alternate route to work around those two portions of the interstate. We'll see you in the next couple of minutes. Pat and Nicole, I think Scott has some information on our forecast.
Yeah,
kind of cold this morning.
It is a little chilly this morning. It's, Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday.
It is.
What channel is that on? Does anybody know?
I believe it's on. Oh,
is it
maybe
on?
we can look at this huge 5 on your mug here, Pat. I don't know if we can see this. Look at Pat's 5, and what's going on here?
Well, listen, I went into the mug shop that we have here in the basement at KSDK.
So just enlarge that.
And I said, I want the same mug Nicole has, but can you make my 5 like 3 times as big as hers? I mean, I'm a small man when you get down to it, so those things matter to me.
I didn't know we had giant size big mugs like.
Apparently we do.
Yes.
Apparently Pat has dug one up.
And the next one he's going to get is going to be like this, because you need a little more caffeine to get you through the morning.
It's those midlife like instead of I can't afford like a Porsche or like a cool car.
Let's get a big 5 mug.
Well, I'm going to work on a really big one. All right, let's show you what's going on weather-wise. Speaking of the Super Bowl, Sunday coming around, we are going to be looking at some unsettled weather this weekend. It's definitely going to be precipitating. How's that for being definitive? Not. All right, we're going to get rain and or snow, and we're going to keep that and or snow because it's literally going to depend on the exact track of the storm. And while most of the models are in pretty good agreement on how things are going to transition, we're still a few days out. And the exact track, if it's 20, 30, 50 miles off, makes a huge difference because that rain-snow line is going to be probably within 50 miles of St. Louis, at least for a good chunk of the storm. Right now, those skies are mainly clear. It is a quiet start for our day-to-day. Temperatures are in the 20s with the coldest readings east of St. Louis. Going back to the west, we're already in the low 30s as you head out towards Sullivan and Rolla. In fact, Lambert jumped up to 31 this hour, 25 over in Flora, 26 degrees in Effingham. There is a bit of a breeze, so it feels like it's in the teens and 20s, and that wind's going to stick with us today and become gusty. Right now, it's a southeast breeze at 10. Look for 15 to 20 mile per hour winds as we head into this afternoon. Temperatures will get back through the 40s and eventually into the low 50s. Now, Futurecast does bring in a few clouds heading into the afternoon, especially later tonight and into tomorrow morning. Then we'll see some clearing late tomorrow afternoon, especially west of St. Louis. Our attention then starts to turn out to the west. Here we have a system getting itself together. Anytime we have a southern track system, always keeping our eye on it, especially when you can mix moisture with temperatures that are a bit cooler. And that's what it looks like will happen on Sunday. Somewhere across western Tennessee, western Kentucky, or southeast Missouri will be a center of low pressure. It looks like it'll be a pretty decent one too. And then there'll be a rain-snow line that's going to be very close to St. Louis through this time. As colder air works in behind the system as we head into Sunday night, it is likely we would transition to all snow, and we should see some accumulation before it winds down about rush hour time on Monday morning. And then it's cold heading into the beginning of next week. So yes, some accumulating snow is in the forecast. It's too soon yet to get too specific on just how much. We're coming back with more of Today in St. Louis.
Agree more. And now, it's available for $169 a month or 0.9% APR. And of course, it's backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The real question is, while it's so easy to get into a Kia Soul, why would anyone want to get out of one? The Kia Soul is now available for $169 a month or 0.9% APR.
Welcome back. It is 5:27. A lot of celebrity news to get to this morning in our entertainment section. But up first, it's kind of bad news for Chris Brown and all his fans, Nicole.
Yeah, and a heartfelt note on his Instagram page. Chris Brown announced he's delaying the start of his upcoming tour. He hasn't quite finished all of his court-appointed community service hours and says he has 100 hours left, and he must get that done before he can return to his regular job of performing. Brown, Trey Songz, and Tyga were supposed to kick off the Between the Sheets tour in Hampton, Virginia, Tuesday. That's pretty disappointing. Well, time for a look at what is trending this morning. The NFL is launching its own official YouTube channel.
This is cool. The channel will have clips of game highlights, interviews, and fantasy football content. Users can also view video through simple Google searches. Now, Google's paying a multi-million-dollar sum annually for those NFL rights. But that's cool because you can never find NFL highlights on YouTube usually, so now you can. And this is very cool. Chuck Taylor meet Andy Warhol. Ooh. Next month, the iconic artist will literally become an all-star. That's because Converse All-Stars, the new design of the Chucky All-Stars, will have prints of Andy Warhol's most famous works. There's the Campbell Soup one, iconic images like that, and newspaper clippings. The shoes will be available to the public on February 7, and they'll range from $35 to $90. Come in a variety of styles, including low top and high top sneakers. Wedge Converse will also feature 3 t-shirt designs to the company. Did you have a pair of Chucky All-Stars at any time in your life, Nicole?
I have never owned them. However, I dated somebody from the West Coast, so now I have an appreciation for him. Well, he forced me to like it. Yeah.
Speaking of romance, the San Francisco Zoo has a new way to drum up business, helping animals provide sort of revenge and payback with a little bad karma. It's the Unvalentine. Here's the chance. You can adopt a hissing cockroach or a giant scorpion in honor of your ex. You can send this, get it?
Yes.
You have a bad breakup or maybe an ex, husband
or just
or wife.
Because,
Or maybe you just want to send someone an adopt a cockroach certificate.
They'd love to.
But here's the best part of the whole thing, Nicole. These are non-negotiable. Like once it comes in the mail, you can't say, I don't want to own this cockroach, even in name only. The San Francisco Zoo will say.
It doesn't come in the mail. You adopt it.
You adopt it, but you know that it's yours.
Right.
And you can't do anything about it. I'm going to send you a cockroach just to, prove to you that this can happen. All right, it's now 5:30.
You are watching Today in St. Louis.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
A double fatality closes I-44 westbound near downtown St. Louis. I'll have the latest.
Plus, we have another closure if you're coming from Illinois into Missouri. We'll tell you how to work around that situation when we come back.
And relatively quiet weather across the area today, but a weekend storm system looks to provide us with some rain and snow.
All right, welcome back. Almost 5:31 now. It is Wednesday. I'm Pat McGonigal.
And I'm Nicole Burley. Thanks for letting us get you ready this morning. Pat's bringing out his accessories.
This is not just window dressing, Nicole.
No.
This is a Regulation Parkway Central football helmet made by Schutt. You see that brand name there?
Yeah.
You're going to see about 3 dozen of these on the field on Sunday for Super Bowl 49. Yes. And did you know they're made right here in our neck of the woods?
I knew that.
It's true. Ryan Dean is on his way. We're going to hear from him in our next hour or so. So just another little source of local pride, Scott, for the big game on Sunday.
There are so many things that are made in St. Louis. It's such a cool place.
Yeah.
We've got so many businesses going on in small niche little businesses you don't even know about. All right, here's what's going on weather-wise. It's pretty quiet out there this morning. We'll certainly take that. Skies are mostly clear. The breeze is going to be picking up and becoming gusty as the morning progresses. Right now, Springfield's 40, Kansas City's 42. These milder temperatures are going to be working in across the region as we head through the day today. So we're at 31 right now. Temperatures may fluctuate a degree or two, but we're going to hold about steady around 30 or so, close to freezing here early this morning. Roads are generally on the dry side, although there are a few damp spots, especially where there's some residual salt around. That salt tends to attract moisture out of the air, and so we've seen some of that. And later today, we're in the low 50s, and we will be looking at the clouds on the increase, Nicole.
We do want to get you right to breaking news and a deadly overnight on our area roadways.
5 people killed in accidents, 2 while walking along a street. So this morning we have assembled team coverage.
First, 2 people are dead in a car accident near downtown St. Louis.
Police are still on the scene and the highway is currently shut down. Dana Dean is near I-44 westbound where this happened. Good morning, Dana.
Good morning to you, Nicole and Pat. The accident happened right underneath the Cass overpass on I-44 westbound. It's just north of downtown St. Louis, but I want to show you just in the past few minutes, all vehicles left the scene here. While the highway is still closed there, we believe it will reopen any minute. Accident reconstruction crews left the scene, as well as MoDOT, police vehicles and fire trucks that were here. So they're all gone. We're waiting any minute now for the highway to reopen. Now let's show you video taken by our overnight photographer around 2:15 this morning. St. Louis police confirmed that 2 people died after the car they were in burst into flames. Now it appears the car veered off the highway, it hit the bridge support, it rolled back onto the highway, and then it burst into flames. Again, we're just standing by waiting to see when I-44 westbound will reopen near downtown St. Louis between Lumiere Casino and Cass Avenue. Right now, cars are taking Broadway to get around the accident and get back onto the highway. Live in downtown St. Louis, I'm Dana Dean for News Channel 5.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dana. And on Interstate 55, 1 woman was killed after she rear-ended a semi. Here's the scene. It happened in the northbound lanes near Butler Hill around 11 o'clock last night. Police say the driver of the semi was slowing down and pulling over to deal with an equipment problem. And you can see what happened. He was rear-ended. The woman who hit the semi was killed. The driver of the truck was not hurt.
Right now, the McKinley Bridge is shut down overnight. A tanker truck hit a car on the bridge. Look at that. All lanes were closed while 1 person was airlifted from the scene, and police investigate what happened. We are waiting for an update on the person's condition. Photojournalist Andy Broadway is live on the scene with more. What can you tell us, Andy?
Well, Nicole, I'm at the base of the bridge on the Illinois side in the city of Venice. If you're coming in on Highway 3, as I know many folks in Granite City and maybe perhaps Alton do to get across the river, you're not going to be able to use the McKinley Bridge this morning. And as you see in front of me, the Illinois State Police is directing people to make a U-turn. So if you come to the McKinley Bridge, you want to use that this morning, at least at this hour, you're not going to be able to get across the bridge because of that tanker accident. I will tell you, I just saw a heavy-duty tow truck to go by me up to the accident scene. So hopefully that's a good sign that the authorities are going to get this bridge open soon. We'll stay on top of this, but again, if you use the McKinley Bridge on Highway 3 this morning from Highway 3 to get across the Mississippi into St. Louis, that's not an option this morning. You got to look for alternative routes. Nicole, back to you.
All right, thanks, Andy. And more deadly news, this time in Wellston, where 2 people died after being hit by a vehicle. It happened at Keeneland and Evanston. Police tell News Channel 5 around 1 a.m. a man and woman had just left a nearby convenience store when they were struck. Right now, no names have been released. We are told the driver stayed on the scene. There's no word if that driver will face any charges. And Sarah, such a crazy night.
Yeah, Nicole, it's awful when you come in that early in the morning and just hear news like that occurred overnight, especially with all those fatalities. So let's go ahead and recap exactly what we are dealing with. As you heard Dana Dean mention, 44 westbound under the Cass overpass is where that Interstate is closed down. It should open any minute now, but then just a couple miles above that, you have the McKinley Bridge, which is now closed, and that's what Andy Broadway also mentioned there. So if you do travel from Granite City on Illinois Route 3 and you have plans to cross into Missouri on McKinley, you're going to have to use either the MLK Bridge, the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, or the Poplar Street Bridge. Now, I did just get word from my producer that 44 is now open, so if you have plans to head out that way, you should be in pretty good shape there if you're traveling westbound. Take a look here at the scene. You can see that 44 traffic is moving through that stretch. We also have word of an accident at 55 northbound near Bates and Potomac. There are reports of some minor injuries, but traffic is starting to back up on that interstate in that stretch as well. So we'll learn some more information on that and pass that along. Nicole and Pat.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Well, it is 5:37 on a much lighter note.
Yeah.
A local product will be starring in Sunday's Super Bowl.
Yeah, about 3 dozen local products, actually. We're not talking about players. We're talking about the helmets. They're made right around here. Ryan Dean's looking into it as we get ready for Super Bowl 49. We're coming right back.
It's 5:39. You're looking down Market Street at the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, which will feature the sun rising here a little after 7 o'clock this morning, and it should be a pretty bright day, brighter than yesterday for most of us. Those clouds that moved in across much of the metro yesterday. Today, the clouds should mostly stay to the north. We'll start to see an increase in cloud cover late this afternoon. But it is going to be a windy day. Stiff breeze out of the southeast all day long, and it will be gusty this afternoon. 29 in Cedar Hill right now. Millstadt, Illinois is 27. So is Edwardsville. It's 30 degrees in Washington. Make that 32 in Washington and 30 out in Warrenton right now. But keep in mind with the breeze, most of us feel like we're in the teens and 20s. So dress the kids for that at the bus stop this morning. About 30 degrees around 7 o'clock in St. Louis. And this afternoon, we're upper 40s to lower 50s, maybe some mid 40s as you go farther off to the east of St. Louis. You get back towards Herman, down towards Rolla, probably talking about 55 to 57 degrees this afternoon. So again, temperatures will range across the region, similar to what they did yesterday. We had that widespread range in temperatures yesterday. Nicole?
I'm Dana Dean, just north of downtown St. Louis. I do have some breaking news to pass along to you. I-44 westbound, just north of downtown St. Louis, is back open after a double fatality. The highway had been closed since about 2:15 this morning. The accident happened right underneath the Cass overpass. As you can see behind me, traffic is flowing yet again. Police vehicles, fire trucks, reconstruction crews all left the scene just a few minutes ago. We were just waiting for it to be back open. Looks like traffic is now flowing again. The car appeared to have veered off the highway. It hit the bridge support there. It rolled back onto the highway somehow, and it burst into flames. St. Louis police confirmed that 2 people were killed in that accident, and that's the very latest from I-44 westbound, just north of downtown St. Louis. I'm Dana Dean. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Dana. Marissa Alexander, whose case shed light on Florida's minimum sentencing laws, has been released from jail. She'll be allowed to spend the rest of her sentence under house arrest. Now, you may remember she was sentenced to 20 years in prison after firing a shot in the direction of her estranged husband back in 2010. 20 years was a mandatory sentence under Florida's guidelines for using a firearm, but that conviction was overturned because the judge mishandled jury instructions. In November, she took a plea deal that gave her a 3-year sentence, but she got credit for time served after her first arrest and first conviction.
About 9.5 million Americans used Obamacare exchanges to sign up for health insurance so far this year. That's the latest tally from the federal officials, and just over the Obama administration's estimate of 9.1 million. However, people who signed up still need to pay their first month's premium to be considered fully enrolled. Scott?
All right, coming up on 5:43, a quiet morning on the way weather-wise, but the winds pick up as we head into this afternoon. And warmer temperatures are with us today, but then those temperatures start to go down. We have cold weather this weekend and moisture coming together over the bi-state region.
Well, Coca-Cola is changing its recipe in Canada. The company announced its namesake product will be less sweet in an effort to please ever more health-conscious consumers. Canadian Coke has traditionally been sweeter than the same product in other countries. A new recipe in the Canadian market has 8% fewer calories, The company says the new recipe means Canadians will now have the standard formulation, and it should be on store shelves in a few weeks.
And do you need a gal pal for your wedding party? You can now actually rent a bridesmaid, courtesy of bridesmaidsforhire.com. There are 4 options for a bridesmaid friend, with prices ranging from just a few $100 all the way up to $2,000. The base package gets you a virtual consultation to help with the planning, problem solving, and the to-do list. But the deluxe package gives you some real bridesmaids by your side. You get support for all the pre-wedding events and actual participation as a bridesmaid or maid of honor. And Sarah Daly, I think this is an idea whose time has come. You know,
I would offer my services, honestly.
You should.
You know what? If you want
job.
to hire me as a bridesmaid or maid of honor, I'm just putting it out there.
You'd be a great one.
And you get to stand there and witness, you know, the union of man and woman, or whoever your friends are getting married. That's awesome. I love it. So I think that's a good idea. Heck, why not? We do want to remind everyone right now the McKinley Bridge is currently closed due to an accident. So if you're traveling on Illinois Route 3 and you typically take the McKinley into downtown St. Louis, that's not going to be an option this morning. We have a second accident on Broadway that is northbound, 55, excuse me, a little bit south of Broadway near Potomac. Take a look here at the traffic backup. You can really see that drivers there are starting to tap the brakes, and it's causing quite an issue through that stretch of the interstate. 2 lanes currently closed. And that's going to cause some additional travel time for folks if you're heading out that direction. If you are traveling 44 westbound under the Cass overpass, we did have a double fatality there. That has since reopened, and we'll have an update from Dana Dean here in just a moment. But right now, you do need to know that the McKinley Bridge is still closed both directions. If you are heading out that way, you need to use either the MLK, the Poplar Street Bridge, or even head a bit further north to the Chain of Rocks. So we'll have an update on that throughout the morning. But to get you out the door this morning, you do need to know about your forecast. You know what to wear.
And it's a little bit chilly out there this morning, but nothing out of the ordinary for this time of year. We have 20s and lower 30s across the area for your temperatures this morning. Skies are mostly clear. You see some clouds farther to the north. Southeast breeze has been with us early this morning at about 10 miles per hour, which means even though it's in the 20s and 30s, your typical temperatures that you'd find this time of year, which by the way are a little bit warmer out to the west. Look at Lake of the Ozarks right now, 37. You factor in the wind, and the wind chill is a little bit colder for us right now. The wind chill is feeling like they're in the teens to lower 20s in a lot of spots. So you got to keep that in mind here as we head through the day. We will be talking about that gusty breeze. So even though we go back into the 50s this afternoon, probably won't feel like it because that wind is going to be so gusty. It will be bright. Let's jump ahead to Sunday. We think by late Sunday, we have a storm system that's down to our southeast. Anytime we have those southern track storms, that tends to be favorable for us to get some snow, at least for parts of the area. And traditionally, the rain-snow line is somewhere close to St. Louis. Notice we're painting it right close to St. Louis here for late Sunday afternoon. North and west, more snow. South and east, more on the lines of rain. But as the system pulls away and the cold air wraps around, then you make the changeover to all snow. It is too soon for us to get too specific. But again, as we look at the computer models, we can kind of track and show you what we're thinking here, what the computers are saying at this point and telling us. Heaviest snow to the north of St. Louis through this whole ordeal. That's one computer model. Here's the next one. And again, heaviest snow showing up to the north of St. Louis. Pretty much consensus there. It's a southern storm, always one to watch. We have to wait. We'll get the exact storm track and intensity. We'll get that pinned down here over the next couple of days. Pretty sure the heaviest snow is going to be north and west of St. Louis. But if you have travel plans this weekend, especially later Saturday night into Sunday, this impacts you if you're going north and west of St. Louis. It also could impact your Super Bowl Sunday plans. If you have a big Super Bowl Sunday party, you may be dealing with some snow and some slick roads by the time the game gets over, especially. It all winds down Monday morning, ending as snow, and the ground will probably be white in St. Louis. And that means we'll be on top of it for you right here on Today in St. Louis.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Well, about 35 players will wear a Schutt helmet during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, those helmets are made in Salem, Illinois, and Ryan Dean is live at the facility. So, Ryan, a lot of players are going to be wearing this during the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, that's cool. So here they are. So this is the Seahawk helmet. This is the Patriot helmet. The decals get put on later by the actual team. But Marshawn Lynch, LeGarrette Blount, former Ram, Danny Amendola will be wearing a Schutt helmet, about 35 players in all. But before they look like this, check out how a helmet actually starts. Pellets. That's how the process begins here at the Schutt facility in Salem. I want to bring in Glenn with Schutt, and what room are we in right now?
This is the paint room, Ryan, and this is where after the helmets are molded, it's an injection molded process. Those pellets are superheated, put around a tool, formed into a helmet shell, then they come in here to be painted.
All right, we're going to kind of show the facility throughout the day. One thing I wanted to show you, though, does this look familiar? The Oregon Ducks helmet. So here's how the process starts, that chrome helmet, and then this is how it ends up. One thing you were telling me earlier, right now there's kind of a competition among teams to make helmets fancy.
Yeah, especially in college. It's become a primary recruiting tool for schools. They really make the baddest looking helmets that they can, and they go into a kid's living room and they say, how would you like to wear this next year? It's a terrific advantage.
So coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, we're going to take you out of this room. We're going to go into the assembly room. We're going to see where they get put together. Really neat stuff coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. That is the very latest from Salem. Ryan Dean, News Channel 5.
Yeah, look at that helmet, Ryan. I noticed that during
cool.
a lot of the bowl games, like the Oregon Ducks, but a lot of teams, even like some of the smaller schools, have those just insane paint jobs.
Yeah, chrome has become the go-to helmet right now.
All right, very cool. Can't wait to see more of that facility coming up.
Anything shiny, I like it.
That's right. All right, thanks, Ryan. Well, of course, News Channel 5 is your home for Super Bowl 49. Be sure to catch our Super Bowl Zone special. This is Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Then on Sunday morning at 10, Rennie Knott and Heidi Glaus will get you ready for the big game with a 1-hour special celebrating a season of excitement.
And NBC's coverage begins at noon Sunday. Kickoff is at 5:30.
Right now it is 5:52.
We'll be right back.
I'm Dana Dean, just north of downtown St. Louis, and if you're headed out the door this morning, I wanted to pass along some information to you because we've been telling you all morning about a double fatality on I-44 westbound. Well, the highway is back open at I-44 westbound and Cass Avenue. The highway was closed for about 3.5 hours this morning, beginning at about 2:15 a.m. when St. Louis police confirmed that 2 people were killed in a car accident. It appears to be a single car accident. It looks like the car veered off the highway, it hit a bridge support, it rolled back onto the highway, it burst into flames, and the highway is now back open. It opened about 15 minutes ago, so want to let you know that information if you're headed out the door this morning. Live near downtown St. Louis, I'm Dana Dean for News Channel 5.
Also keep in mind the McKinley Bridge is currently closed due to an accident. We have an accident 55 northbound at Potomac. You can see there 2 lanes blocked, traffic completely crawling through that stretch of the interstate at this point. So a couple situations out there that drivers need to keep in mind.
And still a few flight cancellations in the Northeast because of obviously the 30 or so inches of snow.
Yes.
They're not too far from Boston. So New York and Boston still trying to get things back to normal. The system's moving away, and much of the rest of the country's fairly quiet. There's still some unsettled weather out in the Intermountain region. Here at home, we're going to be pretty breezy today. It'll be bright much of the day. Clouds on the increase late this afternoon. 53 for the high, but that's offset by that gusty wind this afternoon.
All right, so warming up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right, thanks so much, Scott. All right, it's now 5:57.
And coming up, we have much more on helmets made locally that you will see Sunday in the Super Bowl. Pretty cool.